Hi there. Today I wanted to talk to you about cash flow and managing your cash flow. I'm going to talk through what my wife and I do to manage our own personal cash flow. I'd encourage you to look at doing something yourself similar if you think this may work for you. When my wife and I first started living together before we were married, we operated completely differently. So I spent every dollar that I spent was via a credit card, and then would pay that off at the end of the month. My wife did everything via cash, so we were constantly in this position where we knew how much money was in the cash account. She didn't know how much was on my credit card, and we didn't really know where we stood from one day to the next. We moved away from that, slowly using more cash, less credit card, and to a point where we started tracking all of our spending through one of the apps you can get for your phones. There's many of them. They all operate under the same fashion in that your bank accounts are linked up to the provider. Your transactions flow through. You can categorize them and get some type of spending report spat out of it for a month or a week or a year, depending on what time period you're looking at. We did that for a while and found that it was great that we kind of understood where we were spending our money, but didn't do anything about changing our behaviours, and that was the key kind of missing piece of the puzzle we found ourselves. So we've gone away from the tracking the transactions on a day-to-day basis and more to a banking structure that gives us or sets aside a particular amount of money each week for us to spend on day-to-day activities, and once that's starting to run low towards the end of the week, well then you start to think twice about what you're going to spend your money on. I'll run through a diagram of how that works shortly, but we're finding it really powerful for ourselves, and I'm actually starting to encourage some of my clients who are coming to see me, really starting out on the journey to get to grips with their cash flow and help to build from there. Some of my clients are actually starting to implement a similar strategy. So this is how our banking structure currently looks. We've got a home loan, you'll see at the top right corner there, an offset account over to the top left, and all of the income that we earn, so I'm the only one working at the moment, my wife doesn't work, all of my income goes into the offset account. There's a monthly loan repayment, minimum loan repayment goes across to the home loan. Then from the offset account, there's a weekly payment goes across to that weekly spend account you'll see on the right hand side there, and then a weekly amount goes down to holidays. We know from the tracking that we did roughly what we spend on a weekly basis. We've brought that in a little bit, and we know what we've set ourselves as a goal each year to spend on holidays. So those two tick along with weekly transfers. The weekly spend account, that's for things like groceries, petrol, kids' activities, clothes, all of those things that we'd ordinarily be tapping a card at the EFTPOS machine or at the register. Under the offset account, so all of our bills and gym and childcare, insurances, all of those day-to-day expenses that we all have that you typically get some type of bill or notice for, they operate via direct debit from the offset account. So we're not having to worry about paying those, that all just kind of ticks away in the background. It's really only the weekly spend account that we have to worry about, and if we're planning a holiday, if there's enough money in the holiday account. If there's not, well then the holiday has to wait, or it's not quite as expensive as we had. So all we're worrying about at this stage is how much money is in that weekly spend account, and as I said earlier in the video, if we're getting towards the end of the weekly amount and it's running down, then obviously we postpone something that we were looking to spend some money on. So we found this really powerful. So hopefully you found this useful. Love to know what you think. Tune in next week for more tips from me, and let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. Thanks for watching.